So nothing tastes really good like a well done chapati, soft with layers. It's so serious that I remember back in school, there's a song that we were taught going like this: Nyakati Zapita. But the boys corrupted the song to be Chapati Zapita Chapati. Anyway, chapatis are a delicacy, and those who know how to make them, we salute you from the tent of the fans and of the lovers of chapati. And so there is someone who actually is doing it very, very professionally. And I got inspired just by watching his story. Let's listen into the story after the break. So Antonio Manyagi was on transit from Europe to Uganda via Kenya, and he stopped by a joint selling ice cream. He went on to ask the staff about the ingredients used and where they were sourcing them from. He was shocked to discover that most of the ingredients were actually being imported from outside the country. And so he kept on asking questions until the staff felt, this guy is asking too many questions. He went and called his boss. Come and see, this fellow is asking me so many questions. The boss came and they had such a great conversation till the boss asked him to help him out with the ingredients on his return from Uganda. And right there and then I will ask, do you understand your business? It seemed Antonio understood the business of ice cream much more than even the owner of the ice cream parlor. Anyway, the reality is that Antonio was born in Kenya but raised in Italy, or Italia, and no wonder he knew so much about ice cream. But it doesn't stop there. Antonio is actually a food innovation specialist. What a career. So on coming back to settle in Kenya, he went to the informal settlements to learn what ideas were viable in terms of demand and the gaps that existed. So he noticed that chapati was a business of choice for a number of people, in the informal settlements, in the low-income areas. And his original idea was to sell B2B, basically provide the dough that the guys who are selling on the streets now can use the dough to make the chapatis. So, but then he quickly realized that these folks are, looking at cutting costs. So they would probably even cut corners. The quality would not be as he would want it. And, being a person who is particular, as a food innovation specialist, he wanted his chapatis to taste a certain way. They should get to the customer, having a certain flavor, having a certain taste, having a certain texture. So he quickly realized this B2B idea will not work. So back to the drawing board. Remember, in creativity and innovation, we said you take a different viewpoint. That's what he did. So he set his sights now on the B2C segment, where now he was going to sell directly to the customers. So the gaps he saw were that customers were looking for convenience, just like I had to go to get some for myself this morning because the people who helped me on the chapati front have deserted me and they know themselves, but no hard feelings. Anyway, so the second gap he also identified was customers were looking for healthy alternatives. Remember, COVID really challenged us on maintaining natural, strong immunity and looking at food as something that does not just fill our stomachs, but something that contributes to our health as well. And right there, remember the words of Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, who said, "Let thy medicine be thy food, and thy food be thy medicine." So just a side note there, the issue of identifying gaps in the market, in part, involves watching what your competitors or rivals are doing to see what they're struggling with in order to fill that gap. Just like now, Antonio went to the informal settlement, he realized these guys, the challenge they have is volumes. The challenge they have is probably the issue of now the logistics of being able to deliver those chapatis in case now they have orders from far places. even though now the idea didn't work, but that gap was there. The other issue is, apart from now looking at your competitors, you can also listen to the customers and understand what are their complaints or what are their concerns with the products that are being delivered to them currently, whatever they're using currently. What are the issues that they have? Like this guy in the tweet was complaining of what? The chapatis are very thin, razor margins, and yet they are very expensive. That's what the guy was complaining about, and Antonio's team quickly saw the tweet and actually offered to sort him out for free. So one of the key currencies of business is trust, not the dollar. And as a business, we need to understand how that is cultivated within your context. Trust is cultivated differently based on the business you're in, based on the clientele that you have. But now for a food business like Antonio's, he realized physical locations are critical because customers need to know that they can find you if they need to, and that you're running the operation in a clean, hygienic environment. So it does not have to be classic or fancy, but just a place that is neat, a place that is accessible. So I would ask you, in your current business or the business you're thinking of starting, how can you build trust with your customers? Because customers normally they want to buy from businesses that they know, they like, and they trust. Chapati King, which is Antonio's business, the one that deals with chapati, he actually has two businesses: Euro Ingredients, which deals with a lot of now value addition, playing around with different ingredients. You notice that when you talk to the ice cream guy, remember the story of the ice cream parlor, he really saw also a gap in terms of the ingredients. The local ingredients need a lot of value addition, which is what we've been saying. African products need value addition for us to fetch more prices, for us to lengthen the value chain. So Euro Ingredients deals with that. Chapati King is specialized more on the chapatis. So somebody was doing deliveries of chapatis to schools, and he then approached Antonio to see whether they could partner. And Antonio agreed, and now their chapatis are distributed in schools. Another strategic partner was also coming on board to supply to the supermarkets. So here we learn the power of focusing on your strengths while going ahead to utilize the power of strategic partnerships that bring on board complementary skills. So you have this strength, you can do chapatis very well, like Antonio. But then someone else has a different strength of a distribution network. They have a very strong network of, people, customers that can buy and all of that. So each one of you brings your strengths to the table, and my strengths cover your weakness, your strengths cover my weakness. And so that brings synergy in business, which is a very powerful thing. And so I would ask you, what are your strengths in the business you're doing, or as an entrepreneur, what are the strengths you have? What are the things you notice you're struggling a bit, you need help in that area? And then who do you think can fill that gap? Those are things to think about, because just as the way they say that if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, then go with people. So who can you go with for you to go far? Because we want your business to go far. Two key things also that set you apart from the competition is innovation and customer experience. Now, innovation involves seeking better ways of running your process, whether it's lowering costs, faster turnarounds, more varieties of options. So the team at Chapati King have gone ahead to develop both cooked chapati and ready to roll dough. So you can buy that. You can buy the dough and go and roll for yourself, because there are people who believe I gotta do it myself, man. No problem. But if you want a cooked chapati, they also have it. As for flavors, they have orange fleshed sweet potato flavors. They have beetroot chapati, enriched with provitamin A, that has a lower glycemic index. What glycemic index means basically is that this is a food that does not raise your blood sugar very high. Generally, carbohydrates, when you eat them, immediately your insulin levels rise because the blood sugar is spiked. But a food that is low on the GI index basically means that it does not raise your blood sugar as much. And so remember, the population one is looking at healthy options. So people are moving towards healthy alternatives. So we understand now that chapati does not necessarily have to be composed primarily of wheat flour, but you can actually use, sweet potato powder, you can use beetroot. And so Antonio's team is playing around even with different fruit flavors, especially for children. Yeah, so you can break the rules. Remember, in creativity said one of the components or the core principles of creativity and innovation is break the rules. You don't have to do things the way they have always been done. No, no, no. You can break the rules to create a healthier alternative or a better alternative for your customers. And so it is because of this innovation that Chapati King produces 10,000 chapatis per day. Yes, you heard that right. 10,000, and one with 4 zeros. And they are seeking to even produce for people under their own brand. So for example, if I have a brand, let's call it Babu's Chapatis, I could talk to Antonio. They produce chapatis but brand them as Babu's Chapatis. So those are serious boss moves right there. I watched the story on 2 different platforms, and I'll link them below for you to check it out. Atmos Precision and Imagine Business. And I just thought to myself, a number of us think of going to the diaspora, seeing that opportunities are there. But Antonio actually said he saw the opportunities are in Africa because we have the population here, we have the raw materials, that all we need to do is value addition. And so the story of Antonio is inspirational because he is contributing to farmers, aggregating, taking their products and, doing value addition, improving their shelf life. He's also contributing to the well-being of the public in terms of giving people healthier food options. And so that is the true innovation, the true heart of innovation, how you can contribute to society's well-being. So even from a simple idea just like chapati, you can do wonders. You can be a blessing to the community. You can be a blessing to the society by using your God-given ideas and God-given talents. So what ideas do you have? What can you bring to the table for us to not just eat? It's not just limited to eating, but whatever ideas that you can bring using some of the tips we have learned in the video today and in the teaching today. Do something. Reimagine your business, reimagine your idea, turn it around, play around with it, and let's see what you come up with. We are watching and we are waiting. Well, this has been Lessons from an Entrepreneur, and I'm glad and grateful that you spent your time here. I hope you come away with something. Comment down below, share the video. We appreciate your support. Shalom Aleichem. God bless you.